Morning. Morning.
Okay, it's 9:35. Commissioner's Office requesting the Board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of May 7th, 2019. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes. Okay, Jerry.
On May 10th, 2019, for the Airport Authority, I acknowledged and approved reimbursement request number 6 for FAA grant project number 3-39-0054-020-2018 to install runway 11/29 lighting, taxiway connector lighting, install runway 11/29 end identifier lights, install precision approach path indicator, and install beacon and lighted wind cone in the amount of $113,311.91. $101,981 was FAA portion, $5,665 was ODOT portion, and $5,665.91 was the local county match. And I also concurred with the Clarendon Township trustees in not requesting a hearing on liquor license being requested by Sonia Realty LLC, doing business as Country Style Drive located at 15052 Mayfield Road, East Clarendon, Clarendon Township. C TRFO 835335.
Thank you. Adrian, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, today's financials include an appropriations transfer to the Sheriff's Office for reimbursement of miscellaneous fees deposited into the general fund, a supplemental from the Commissioner's Office built to our building improvement fund in the professional services account, and cash transfers from the general fund to airport construction for the county match on their maintenance grant number 19-10 silo obstruction removal. The cash transfer from various funds, including the general fund for the April 2019 Windstream bill. Encumbrances include travel requests from the Auditor's Office to attend the CAAO Summer Conference, travel requests from the Auditor's Office to attend the OAPT Fiscal Officer Training, travel encumbrance from the Department of Development Building to attend the 2019 Ohio Statewide Floodplain Management Conference, travel encumbrance from the Commissioner's Office to attend the 2019 National Prima Conference on Public Risk Management, travel encumbrance from Common Pleas Court to attend a Community Corrections Symposium, and a purchase order from Water Resources to NOACA for the department's dues allocation for July 1st of this year to June 30th, 2020. Vouchers include $20,328.63 from the Commissioner's Office to the City of Chardon for the police, prosecutor, and pretrial release officer. A note that we will be short on the third quarter payments by a little bit for each of these unless we consider increasing those amounts, which have been their ongoing requests for a while now. So, but just so you're aware of that.
Yeah.
$251,629.80 from the engineer's office to Roniak Paving for payment number 1 on the asphalt resurfacing of Rapids Road, and $21,750 from JFS to Junction Buick for a 2019 Dodge Caravan for children's services, home and court visits, transportation. Again, that was the replacement from last week. We did the encumbrance last week and the payment this week.
Okay, this is the one that was in the accident.
Correct.
You're replacing the total vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
And then finally, a revenue certification from JFS into their workforce investment fund for additional federal grant revenue.
So could you, just to go back, the City of Chardon Police Prosecutor and Pretrial and Release?
Yes.
That was, they were requesting us to raise that or increase that budget, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we've all been in agreement we're not going to do that, right? I mean, that was what we, the answer.
Yes.
Back.
Yeah, they what they do is they continue to raise the invoices based on what their requests were. So we continue to pay those until we run out of what our encumbrance is, which is the amount that you guys have agreed to pay. So we're going through it ever increasingly faster. We just stop paying once we reach our maximum.
And that's due to Chardon, you know, pay scale being, you know, outracing ours, correct? I mean, it's.
Right.
No,
we have not
they're-
made any adjustments to the amount based on the raises and stuff that we've given to our own employees. We've
Right.
kept it the same amount that we voted on a while ago now. So we did look at a couple options where we kind of increased it in an
Yeah.
amount similar to what we
To
did.
what we're doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's still not what they're asking
It's not
for, because
even,
they
yeah.
do give out a little bit larger raises in the fact that they give out percentages and cost
the-
of living.
And the
increases.
scale too, they.
Correct.
They move, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of different components to their employees'
So
raises.
if we're, you know, so if we're approving a 3% increase, really, and then say they're providing a 3% increase, with the moving of the pay scale too, I mean, theirs could be more like a 6 or 7%
Correct,
increase.
That's
which we're not gonna.
that's pretty accurate.
Okay, yeah, which, you know, we're not gonna follow that math here. you
Right.
know, So, okay. Okay, a motion to approve the financials?
So moved. Second.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Right.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Good. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Really well.
All right, Todd.
Yep, this is Todd Pesserich, Client Services Manager for Comp Management, Inc. So we're here today about the group retrospective enrollment for 2020 because CCAO, this is a CCAO-run program, has determined that we are continuing to be eligible for this program, thank goodness. We're here today to ask you to sign off on this. CCAO charges anything under $10,000 for the administration of this program, so we're bringing this before you. We've been in this program since 2010. We were one of the first counties to be in at the inception of this program. And Todd will talk more about this, but we have reached almost, $976,000 in rebates over since 2010. Being in a pool with 54 other counties has really served the county well. I don't think we've ever had to had any kind of assessment, which we could be assessed if the pool doesn't do well. We're usually looking, this year we're looking at a targeted refund of 23% off of the premium that we're going to pay the Bureau. And it's just been really successful. And just so you know too, some of the things that we need to do to remain in compliance is Kelly's handling the claims and making sure that we're doing salary continuation and doing all the things that we need to be doing. I'm handling the safety part of it, making sure that we're on top of everything. We meet the requirements for meeting with comp management on a quarterly basis, so we're on top of our claims and what we're supposed to be doing, and they're fantastic with handicaps and settlements and all those kinds of things. They're really good, really wonderful with that. Never have to ask them. You guys are telling us.
We have a watchdog.
Yeah.
Make sure we're doing our job.
And
Yeah.
so I think, it's a great program to be in. Being in the pool, unfortunately, the county has slipped to penalty rating, which if we were on our own would be quite costly due to 2 accidents, the 2015 catastrophic car accident and another tractor accident in our engineering department. So without this pool, I think we would be in deep trouble. And we're going to hold on to those claims. The one catastrophic claim will come off till 2021. The other one will come off in 2022, and we're holding our breath that nothing major happens before then, because they're accidents, and accidents happen.
So we're looking at a refund of close to about $113,000, roughly?
That's what they're targeting.
Okay.
Right, that's what they're targeting. And, well, Tom will explain this better because I can get off, and it's confusing no matter how many times they hear it. But they're taking 3 evaluations, and this time it'll be 2016, 2017, and 2018 claims. And they're doing the first evaluation on 2016, and on December 31st. And then they go down the line with the first, second, and third evaluations, and the claims can change. So what the value or the predictor or the the reserve is on a 2016 claim today could definitely change. If there's no activity, that can go down to zero, which makes it better for us. So,
Let me hand out some information. I can kind of give you the baseline of the program itself. I think I have my copy, so that I have one as well. So essentially with workers' compensation, it's an insurance policy that employers have to cover injured workers. And just like any other insurance, when claims are filed, those are calculated against how much premium is going to be paid. So when Kathy was talking about the claims that are currently impacting us, the Bureau uses a rolling 4-year claim history. They give you, a year and a half or so before they roll into the equation. So for 2020, which is what we're talking about, we're trying to project what program we're going to determine in 2020. Those claim years are 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. 15 and 16 are the two bad years that are impacting us currently. So as we continue to roll years out, new years in, that's what we're talking about in the future, hopefully, as we're controlling claims currently. So the Bureau uses that information to determine what your premiums are going to be. With the group retrospective rating program, it's an option for the county to be collected with or put into a program with the other counties who participate. Everybody pays their full premium for that year. So for 2020, you're going to pay your full premium when it's due, and then once those claims occur, those 2020 claims, which is calendar year, and actually the timeline is on the back of the page if you want to follow along in the oval highlighted areas. So the policy year claims occur, and that ends on December 31st of 2020. So those are the 12 months worth of claims for everybody who's participating in that program. Those claims are going to dictate how the program is going to ultimately perform for everybody. So everybody's claims are lumped together. So 1 year passes by, and that first evaluation is going to be December 31st of 2021. They're going to add up all the costs of those claims, develop them, and then they compare that against the premiums that everybody pays in the program. If the scale tilts in a good direction where the claim costs are less than the premiums, that's where the refunds are calculated. There's the potential that if the claims exceed the premiums, then there could be the potential for a refund, which has always been there. That has never happened in the history of the program so far. So we're pretty comfortable that based on past history, that the program's going to perform. If something does happen, we've elected to cap the exposure at 15%, and that's what some of the information is.
So what's the targeted refund then?
So the targeted refund is what we project based on past history and everybody that's in the program.
But you don't think it'll get? Do you think you'll achieve targeted refund, or we will?
I do.
You do. Okay.
But
never know.
We're trying to predict what's going to happen in 2020.
Okay.
In claims for 54 counties.
Okay.
So that's the reality of it. Now,
I see.
I'll hand you out the history of how you guys have done and how the program has performed. I don't think we've ever dipped below 23%.
Okay.
In all of our.
the other thing, stop me if I'm wrong too, but because the county's been in this for such a long time, and we're getting 3 different evaluations, even if one of those years did have some type of assessment on it, chances are, stop me here before I make a terrible mistake, but chances are we wouldn't have to actually pay the Bureau back. They would probably just decrease the amount of our, yeah.
I see.
It's not like,
okay.
I mean, that's how it was explained to me, unless something has changed. Todd, can you help me out here?
Yeah, so to kind of give you the history of how the program has performed to date, from 2010, the final savings percentage are down the middle. So 2015 is the lowest or least performing year, and it was at 24.75. So 23% is a very conservative projection that we kind of put out there. And as you can see, we take a look at each of the individual years that have completed there's a 3-year evaluation process. So for 2020, we'll know what the final results are in 2023. So that's a painfully long time to wait for the ultimate results, but you'll get 3 evaluations and ideally 3 refunds that'll come back. And because it's a 3-year process and we continue to remain in the program, you'll have 3 evaluation years stacked up on top of each other. So as Kathy indicated, if one of those years, for some reason, doesn't perform well, then you have the other 2-year evaluation that will kind of buffer that for you.
And that's where, during that 3-year period, on our end, we're doing everything we can to settle a claim. We generally don't like to do that if somebody is employed, although we are looking at it a little bit, because if it's in our best interest to do that. We're getting handicaps, account management is working on that, because you want to bring that claim cost, that reserve down to 0, so.
Yeah, the success of the program is trying to keep claim costs, well, trying to eliminate claims from happening.
So Ted, who makes the rules on the workman's comp side? Is that controlled by like the state reps and?
Yeah, the Bureau of Workers' Comp lays out the specific rules for the program, the timelines.
But I mean, as far as those rules are enacted by the legislatures, or who is it that builds those policies? And my only question is because, you talk to a lot of companies. I mean, we're fortunate here in the county because, I think that being in this group obviously has definitely made a difference in savings. But you talk to a lot of just, companies and you, including myself. We had a couple of, very minor cases that, they put you in bad boy school,
Yes.
like with overnight. I mean, it's like fast to be, it's like they look for a reason to hammer you, and it's like, who exactly is coming up with the rules? And I guess, with your organization, as far as comp management, are you guys engaged to changing some of these policies? Because I'll be quite honest with you, I get it that they need to have coverage of their funds for claims. But I also just think that there's some stuff that is run very irresponsible on their side, that they are sitting in a huge pool of money.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's like they're feeling guilty that they've got all this money and they're trying to hand out a little bit to try to make you feel good.
Well, I will tell you that, we certainly are one of the big players in the state, and we are very engaged with the Bureau. We like to provide them with suggestions and input. As a matter of fact, when this group retrospective rating program was first introduced back in 2009, prior to that, we also run a similar program in the state of Washington. It's one of the other monopolistic states. So we actually were in communication with the Bureau to give them some feedback on how that program out there runs, and we provided them with our input on how we thought the program should be kind of developed and ran. What they ultimately took from that, I can't speak directly to, but what I will tell you is, again, your individual experience, each employer is allowed to have a certain level of claim cost based on payroll and the type of work that they do.
Right, the classification.
Yeah, so if you have 2 construction companies, I'll use construction companies. One construction company has 5 workers, the other construction company has 105 workers. You're obviously going to expect to have more claim costs in the 105 before you tilt that scale in the wrong direction. So you have the same exposure. If you're a small payroll employer and you have that one claim, you're going to tilt that scale quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started in this business 30 years ago, if I can admit that, there were really 1 or 2 options available to employers. There was group rating, which is great, and there was an individual retrospective rating for large employers or you want self-insured. Today, when you take a look at the options that the Bureau has, it's tenfold compared to what it was before. I mean, there are discount programs you can get into. They have, the Bureau has a one-claim program, so if an employer gets kicked out of group rating, bad boy school, I think is what you refer to as. I like that terminology because it helps me understand it as well. You can get caught by a net that keeps you in a one-claim program that still offers you a discount. So as challenging as the system is when you have that claim that comes out of somewhere, because eventually I'm convinced that if you operate a business over an extended period of time, something's bound to happen. So, you know, the pain that you felt, I understand, but there are also some safety nets that are along the way that try to help them. So all of that, I think, has kind of been, you know, things that have been implemented by the state. I will tell you that I'm currently working on a I don't want to super secret, but we have a committee internally, account management, where we're putting some ideas together to present to the Bureau right now. And we're globally looking at everything that we think we can do to try to help figure out how, you know, how they can kind of restructure the program. Whether they take our suggestions and whether they implement them, I can't speak to that, but we are putting together a task force internally for us to present.
And I will say they have a new CEO, right?
The Bureau has a new administrator.
Yes, and she was really impressive. I went to Safety Congress, and she did her presentation. She used to work for account management, didn't she?
Yes.
At some point. And so she like knew her stuff. I mean, she was at the level, I think, very intelligent person, but at the level that she needed to be to understand what employers are going through. I just got that sense about her. Everybody's really high on her, so I'm hoping that there's some really positive changes at the Bureau.
Stephanie McLeod.
Yeah, I know her name escaped me. I knew it was Stephanie.
No, it is. It's a challenge for a lot of people, and it's just, you know, sometimes it's just, you know, it beats a lot of these companies down, and it's a huge expense. And at the end of the day, you're not able to, you know, not have it.
Oh, I've seen it happen, and if you remember back years ago, there was a 95% discount available for group-rated employers that didn't have any claims. So essentially, you're paying 5% of your premium. One claim knocked you out. Now, instead of paying 5% of your premium, you now have to budget for 105% of your premium. So they kind of leveled that off so that there's, you know, the maximum discount is now 53%. And that is when there wasn't any other programs that could kind of lift you up a little bit. So it was great while it was there, but, you know, when you were not in that program, and that's ultimately what ended up, you know, there were a group of employers that filed a lawsuit against the state, and then, you know, that all kind of went itself down as well.
There's been a lot of changes. The county started in group rating. We were paying about $1 million a year in premiums for workers' comp. And we became penalty rated. We were like out of group rating for several reasons. One of them was that they thought we were too big. I didn't quite understand that. But we were also penalty rated. So we went into something called Premium Discount Plus program. That worked for us. And then right when that ended, CCAO came out with this group retrospective program, which we jumped right in, and it's really the best thing. We've looked at self-insured. I think it works for a lot of counties, but you better have a lot of extra cash on hand.
Right.
And I think that was why the commissioners way back when said no to individual retrospective rating, because you're keeping those claims on for 10 full years. And if you have one bad claim, like we have had, a catastrophic claim, you're kind of in a bind.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask, and I probably shouldn't, about billion back, or is the Bureau looking at giving any money back this year?
I haven't heard any
Okay.
conversations regarding that. You know, their net position last time I saw it was, you know, back up to like $10 billion. Now, I didn't check yesterday when the stock market kind of dipped a little bit. They probably lost a little money yesterday. But, trying not to look at mine either.
On the categories, like you have 52 counties, or
50,
and there's large counties and small counties, and then
That's right.
is it broke apart a little bit where there's so many people that work for the engineer's office, or they're on and off backhoes, drive trucks, and they have CDL license and they're drug tested, versus how many office people do you have? Where if you just have an office and you're not accounting, your BWC rates are pretty low. But if you own a construction company, they're stacked on.
That's right.
So is there a blend, or is it just one group? If you are in charge of accounting, are you just one category?
It is. It's a blended rate. So in the private sector, you have a manual classification for each different type of worker.
Right.
In the public sector, it's a blended rate. So everybody basically pays, the premium gets applied towards a blended rate versus any individual type of work.
I guess in the big picture, that would be the fairest way to do it.
Yeah. That's the way it's always.
At least you're thinking.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking back, and it's just always been that way, and I don't know that I've ever have an explanation as to why it's handled differently in the public sector versus the private sector.
Yeah, because like in the counties, if you have a CDL license,
Yeah.
you have to be drug tested.
Yeah.
And if there's a county out there with more drug tested CDL truck drivers than another,
Mm-hmm.
they're still paying the same rate.
That's right. That's right. That payroll's going against the exact same rate, and it doesn't, doesn't matter how many different categories you have that are feeding.
So do they take into consideration the size of the county and the budget, or any of those matters? Or?
Well, they do, and like I said, the calculation itself is based off of the premium that you're bringing to the
Okay.
table. So
Yeah.
the larger the payroll.
Yeah,
is going
it's
to-
like, my insurance for my business, and I've never quite understood this. I feel like they're a partner of mine, my insurance company, but they want to look at my financials every year and see how much business I've done, and then they raise it accordingly. I said, well, if you want to help invest with me and be a partner, we
Yeah.
can do this, but I've never understood that. The
Well,
more
Tony-
money I make, the more they make.
Yeah.
I've never quite understood.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah. So,
Now,
well,
with
thank
the-
you.
With the BWC, do they have any new programs or cost-saving programs, or if there'd be safety toolbox talks every week from the different departments, or if everyone was drug tested, would the rates go down? Is the BWC initiating any
They
cost
do-
savings?
They do have a
programs?
lot of additional discount program options. They have a program where if you implement a drug screening policy, you can qualify for discounts. They have grant money available. However, the Bureau dictates which of those other discounts can be applied to the program that you select. And with group retrospective rating, not a lot of those additional discount programs that you can get into are stackable or compatible with the group retro program. So we factor that in. That's one of our task force questions, is why not open that up and allow additional discounts to be applied towards group retrospective rating when it could be applied to other programs that employers are in. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when you have that money available.
They let us stack the safety council, they let us stack that discount, we do receive that. But I think when you look at what the other programs offered as far as discounts, they can't even touch this program.
And that, the programs that are compatible are listed on the back there. There are many more programs that are available, but those are the ones that are, and the county takes advantage of every penny that they can.
Yes, we
Good.
do. Yes, we do.
And the stories about Kathy going above and beyond.
You should see her in this office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to say, though, the directors, the managers, we're in a chargeback program, meaning that their claims as well as their payroll affects the bottom line, and they're really proactive out there with their employees. And I've had the privilege to meet with my safety team. They're fantastic. They're cheerleaders out there for safety, and we're wanting to come up with new things to do and to prevent the claims from ever happening. So, and Kelly's doing a great job with claims management, and I just think it's just all around a really good team.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time and explanation. And Kathy, thank you too. And Kelly, thank you.
You're welcome, it's a pleasure.
Why don't you read it?
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and authorize the President and Board to execute the 2020 County Commissioners Association of Ohio Workers' Compensation Group Retrospective Rating Plan Agreement and the Bureau of Workers' Compensation Employer Statement between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and the CCAO Service Corporation.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yep, have a great day.
You too.
David,
All right.
how are you, sir?
I'd like to meet Jessica Kaluga,
Hi.
Program Administrator.
How are you?
Morning.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
First session,
Oh, very good.
Jessica.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Sorry. So we're going to explain where we are with the next grant and the work that Jessica put in to get us to this point, and then talk about the next steps over the next month or so.
So I'm the new program administrator. I oversee the CDBG projects and funding. We just closed our 2019 application on Friday. So I went through, I reviewed all of the projects and applications that were submitted. Out of 14 that were submitted, 10 qualify. So they have to qualify based on a national objective. So the first sheet is just kind of an outline of CDBG and where we're at today. I have a timeline on there as well. So for 2019, we were awarded $284,000. 20 of which, 20%, can be put towards administrative costs. So funding our office, the work that we're doing, supporting any of our fair housing meetings, things like that. So we have $227,200 left to award. We can award up to 5 projects. So the attached spreadsheet just outlines, gives you a little bit of background on the 10 applications that were received that qualify. I can go through each quickly just to let
How
you
many,
know.
you said was 10 in total, or was that just the qualified?
So we received 14 applications, only 10 qualified.
Okay. And what would be like an example why they wouldn't just,
Why they don't qualify.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I was really gratified that we had 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were really scrambling. Jessica started on March 25th, so if you think about it, it's less than 2 months,
Yeah.
and we were able to bring it together.
good job, yeah.
So we tried to keep the application window open as long as we could.
Mhm.
So we're kind of on a tight deadline now for the turnaround on the projects.
Okay.
So normally they qualify based on benefiting low to moderate income residents or preventing slum and blight. So also it can qualify based on urgent need, but that would most likely be related to a disaster. So something that's not expected, if we had a tornado come through and we had damage and we had public facilities that needed to be repaired, those projects could be submitted. So in the past, we have qualified based on LMI, and we've done a lot of public service projects, a lot of projects benefiting limited clientele. So that would relate to ADA modifications, so making sure that our buildings are accessible based on ADA regulations, restrooms, things like that. And you will see a lot of the programs and projects listed here fall under those categories. So we have a summer lunch program. They've applied. This is a new program. So Berkshire Schools currently offers free and reduced lunch for students. This would continue that program throughout the summer. So they've requested funding for a refrigerator, freezer, and oven to prepare those lunches. DDC Clinic was awarded in 2017, so we're on 2-year grant cycles. So that was the last time that we received funding. We did receive a little more funding this year than we did in 2017, so I see that as a positive. So we are completing their 2017 project to pave their main clinic parking lot. And this is kind of phase 2. They're requesting that we widen the driveway. They have a lot of wheelchair accessible vans and passenger vans that enter and exit and have a hard time passing.
Didn't, Dave, I don't know if you remember didn't we have some delay with that project? Wasn't there some issues there or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. What happened was our estimate was too low, so when the bids came in, the current project, they were too high. So we had to take a step back. We didn't get it done last year. Now we're recycling or going back to the bid, open proposal process. Yeah.
And which project was that?
That's phase 1 of the DDC clinic
Okay.
paving, right up by their turnaround there in front of the door. And then they're proposing here for phase 2, which is the main parking lot down below.
Okay.
Geauga County Department on Aging has requested the purchase of 2 Jeep Compass vehicles. So this will allow them to provide support in home for senior citizens in the area, so they qualify as limited clientele. They did give me some data on that, so they expect each vehicle to be able to perform and meet the needs of 321 client home visits per year.
Okay.
Women's Safe is a nonprofit domestic violence shelter located right here in Geauga County, right outside of the square. They had 283 individuals that benefited from their services in the financial year of 2018. So they're requesting funds towards the construction and supply. They need to remove mold from their donation center. So they have a donation center where they're storing toiletries, clothing, furniture, any of the needs that people would need once they have received services and they're relocating them into their new home. So they noticed that there was a lot of mold. It was on the walls, it was on the donation items, so a lot of the donation items had to be thrown out. They have installed a venting system, a ventilation system, and a humidifier to prevent the mold, but they need siding put up within the donation center and new shelving installed. So they've made a request.
Where is that? Where is their donation center at?
It's right behind the building.
Okay, so it's same location. Okay.
Yes, same location.
Okay.
But it sounds like you said that they put some preventative measures
Yes.
in the future, so we're not gonna do
Correct.
this and it's gonna happen again or something.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they didn't have any siding or anything covering the drywall within
Okay.
the donation center.
Okay.
So that's how the mold was forming. So they put in the ventilation system and the humidifier.
Okay.
So they've raised the funds for that to prevent any future issues.
Very
Okay.
good, okay.
The Geauga County Agricultural Society, so the fairgrounds, they are requesting paving of walkways around the small grandstand to allow for access to ADA restrooms. So those have previously been renovated from CDBG funds. So now we would like to ensure that people have access to those ADA restrooms.
Good one.
Village of Middlefield is requesting funding for the purchase and installation of 3 ADA door operator kits. So these will allow for access for the doors to open and close. This will be installed at the Village Hall, the Police Department, and the Senior Center. Middlefield Fire Department has submitted 2 project applications. One is for a 60 kilowatt generator to power the fire station. So they are an emergency shelter declared by the Emergency Management Services. So this would allow them to power the building. And then they've also requested funding to replace the concrete around the building. So that is used by emergency services, the police and fire departments.
Wait,
Yeah, that's a large request.
wait a second, how much money do we have in this?
227.
Yeah,
Huh?
227 net out of 284. And I do want to point out, we don't have to award 100% of the ask.
Correct.
Okay.
You can give them 10% of it and they have to
So let
fund
me
it out
ask
of
you,
the balance.
and we, so we've had this a couple of times, where people have asked, for example, Maple Leaf, 2 years ago, they asked for us to replace their roof. So getting back to what Dave is, you know, what we don't wanna do is we don't wanna get played in this stuff, you know, where somebody all of a sudden puts this, you know, pie in the sky dream, and then they say, well, let's roll the dice. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we just move on. But I like Dave's thinking is, can we get some kind of commitment to them to say, we're gonna do this, but you've gotta bring X, Y, Z to the table.
Right.
And if you don't, then our numbers are off. You know, we're not doing it.
That is part of the application, so they have all submitted a commitment letter stating that if the full amount of the project is not funded by CDBG, they will pay the remaining.
And with that being said, so let's say, for example, like Middlefield, they're saying 278,000. Let's say we did 10% for conversational purposes, and we'll say, okay, we're gonna put $27,800 or $80 into this. What do, you know, do they then have to come up with the remainder?
Yes,
And
and
is-
we can also look at the project, and sometimes, just like the DVC clinic, we can say, all right, we're gonna do a part or a portion of the project and not the full. So if there's 3 different areas that need to be paved, or the concrete needs to be replaced, we can say we're funding one specific area.
But if the project isn't completed, then we don't pay anything.
Correct. So let's say, for example, this project here with Middlefield, if we're gonna give them $27,800 as 10% to contribute to their, project, by the agreement that they signed, are they committed that they're gonna put the other 90% in?
I think the answer would be, we first have to understand how much of the project they're gonna be able to do, knowing what the commissioners are willing to do. So they came in and they said 278, and we said, no, we're gonna do a portion. Then they have to recalibrate their project and say, well, if we can't get 100%, we can do 50%. Then we go back and say, we'll give you a percentage of the 50%. Does that make sense?
So we could get a new commitment letter.
It
that-
does make sense, but I just still feel
you're
like we
saying-
get played on this.
Yeah, you're saying you don't wanna give them the money, then they don't do it.
Right,
Yeah.
That won't happen.
right.
But they have the ability to come back and say, if we only said we were giving them 27,000, they have the ability to come back and say, well, we're not gonna do a $278,000 project, we're only gonna do a $50,000 project.
They have to look, right, they have to look at their points, see what they can do.
It's,
So then
it's kind of hard to.
they only pave a quarter of the parking lot instead of
Okay.
It's a
Can
great
we-
point, though. We're gonna
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
very, on top of this to make sure. we
I mean, you
understand
really got to
what the
look at which
commitment
ones are in need versus.
Right.
you
Now,
know,
this
just
lunch
wanting,
program,
right? Yeah.
could you explain a little bit? I'm not super understanding of this. So this lunch, this Clarendon Community Help Summer Lunch Program. So who are they?
So Clarendon Community Helps, they're a nonprofit organization, so they're stepping in and continuing what the school is doing during the school year.
Okay,
So there are students that currently qualify for free and reduced lunch. They can qualify to continue the lunches in the summer. So there will be certain days, and they have a location where they go and they pick up these lunches.
and who are they feeding?
Just the students, and that's clearly outlined in their information. It's not for the families, it's a lunch for the student, and the student has to come to pick it up.
But do these students have to, is there a certain level of means testing or something that there's?
Yeah, it's the same
Yes.
kids that qualify for the lunch program in the school year. It's the same.
So I compared how do they qualify for the school, and it's based off of annual salary or income of the family. And then I compared that to HUD's requirements through fair housing. And actually, there's stricter regulations by the school. So we meet both the fair housing HUD regulations and also regulations through the school.
So where are they getting the money right now?
It's all volunteer-based, the organization, so everyone's volunteering their time, they're getting food
501c3.
donations, and they're working out of a church.
This is a brand new program.
Yeah.
This is a brand new program that they want to introduce.
In 2009.
No,
And-
this summer lunch program.
Oh, okay.
So this isn't something that's even established, we don't know if it's even working.
It hasn't worked yet, 'cause this is something that they're just bringing out for the summer.
Okay, well, we can look into that further, you know, maybe
Yeah.
talk to them a little more.
Right, you
Yeah.
have questions,
Yeah.
you can go back.
Yeah.
So that's why we
Yeah.
wanted to get it in front of you today.
Good.
So we have a.
We don't have to make
week
any
for you to-
decisions today, we're
No.
just,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what we wanted
Yeah.
you to start to really
Yeah.
dig in and say, here's what we want.
One last question, you know, villages and, you know, cities applying for this, that's kind of a first, I haven't seen that before, you know, in the last few years. Is that,
And that's part of it, that we,
Villages
in our
are
instruction.
Yeah.
every year they've
Yeah.
applied.
Certain villages apply
Yeah,
for it.
almost every year. So that's a good question that Tim has actually with this, goes back to this. So this is for a 24-month period. It used to be every year.
Correct.
Correct.
So do we have to have so if we feel that, you know, some of this, that we won't get to this major number of 227,000, is there a way that we can just hold off to see if there's a need that arises next year? And we could say, okay, let's move forward with this, this, and this, but
No, we have the program, the grant for this period for that amount of money. Once they award it, that's it.
But I'm saying, so the deadline of we have to have something selected by a certain date?
Yes, we have to submit by the 14th of next
June
month, and then
14th.
they'll award it in the fall. That's it, then that, what they call Program Year 19, which covers 2021, is locked down.
I see.
So we can select up to 5 projects, we don't have to choose 5, so if we want to fully fund 2 projects, we just have to stay within our award
I'm gonna tell you something that I learned, thanks to Jessica and her relationship now with Ben Keppel from OGSA, who's the overriding authority on this, that, to your point, you have the authority to use revolving loan funds for other projects. So if something else came up, because that's a long period of time, 2 years, now I know your point, you guys can authorize us to use those revolving loan fund dollars for something else.
It's a similar process. We have to qualify them and submit an application. We submit a waiver to state.
Same qualification.
They go ahead and pass it, and then we can begin that project, and we would use revolving loan funds.
Okay.
And then we would be reimbursed at the following year when the grant comes out?
We would not be reimbursed. So they're permitting us to use those revolving loan funds, but we wouldn't get them back.
Okay.
I think what they're seeing is many counties are sitting on that money.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of them taking it back, they want them to use it.
Yep. Makes
Okay.
sense.
That's a good explanation.
Yep, yep.
Okay. And if somebody else applied between now and then,
It's called.
it's closed, the application process is closed. And did we reach out to some of our veteran organizations, the UAWs, the VFW, the American Legions and the VFWs? Okay.
Yeah, the American Legion, they were going to submit an application for an elevator. I think they just, with the tight deadline, they weren't able to get the estimate in time.
But they're aware of it now, so they'll consider it for the next program here. That was Burton.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
So we'll be back next week at session, making our recommendations. So we're gonna go through, set some criteria, and we'll recommend to you who we feel would be a good project to fund. We'd like to make a decision next week, because then we'll have to post for public hearing too, which we'll be hosting in a couple weeks, in June. And then we have to submit our application on the 14th. So you have that whole timeline on the first sheet.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so if we do have questions about any of these, should we go through you to,
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I
Look
have
into-
more information on all the organizations and their applications. If you want to see site maps, they had to submit cost estimates. So we have the complete breakdown of the projects. This was just a general overview.
okay. Okay,
All right.
thank you
Well,
very
thank
much,
you
and
so
good
much.
job getting this handled quickly. Appreciate it, yeah.
We have one other read, just
Yeah.
on the credit card. We don't use it often, but when we do, we have to have our signatures on file, so we're requesting your approval of our signatures now.
Okay, do you want to read that?
The Department of Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the updated application for authorization to permit the use of the county credit card through ORC 301.27 for the year 2019 for a Geauga Credit Union Visa not to exceed $1,500 per month, including daily credit. Christina Lewis and Jessica Pulliam.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spiller?
Aye.
Commissioner Living?
Aye.
We don't want to see any secret pointer stuff on there.
I'll go clean it up right now.
There's no activity, I saw in the news last night that Aurora wants to have a
It's
deal
all
with
Aurora.
Pulte. I know,
Yeah.
but nothing in Geauga.
Bainbridge.
I'm sure Dave's working on that though.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, yeah.
One other, or actually a couple other additions here to the,
Oh, yeah.
is we did receive the notice from Bob Rogish resigning from the planning commission. So we need to officially acknowledge that, or is it just?
He sent a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
So, stating his desire or wish to resign from the commission. So that would leave an opening that would be either open till the end of the year, because his term is up at the end of the year, or he can appoint somebody to fill out the remainder of his term for the year.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to appoint, well, if we can go ahead to approve the resignation of
You have to
Bob Rogish. And also, we did it in the
acknowledge
planning commission also this morning to accept his resignation there.
Okay. Well,
So do we have a motion to acknowledge Bob Rogish's resignation?
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
I second it.
Commissioner DeWart?
Yes.
Commissioner Spiller?
Right.
Commissioner
Yes.
Okay. And then you want to appoint,
If we could make a motion to appoint James McCaskey for the remainder of his term.
through December 31st of 19.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's through this end of this year, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner DeWood?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Christie, just for their knowledge, do you have the list of those appointments that are up at the end of this year?
Yes, there's, obviously, we sent a letter to the Library Board of Trustees regarding that appointment that expires at the end of June. They did contact us and they are starting the process that we requested. The LEPC cert will come due in the middle of August, and that will come from DES. The mental health and recovery services will have 3 appointments that will also expire at the end of June. That's Ms. Shumway, Ms. Cavassini, and Mr. Welty. So if you want to put out a statement that you want to accept applications, or if you are looking to do the appointments of those, we will have to start working on that process.
And that would be for the mental health board?
Yeah.
That's the mental health and recovery services.
And the
board,
term
yes.
that expires is,
Those 3 expire June 30th of this year.
because that's always difficult to fill. I would try to post that as soon as possible.
Okay, I will put together, I'll grab the stuff that we had done before, I'll get it ready, and you guys can take a look at it, and if
Yeah.
you're okay with that, we'll get
Okay.
a press release out. Then, Public Defender Committee will have 2 appointments that will come due in October, and the rest of them, which includes, you did the reappointment of Mr. Hostetler, but Mr. Hess' term expires the end of this year for the airport. Fair Housing, Family Services, Law Library, your local RLF and RLF Loan Fund committees, and all will expire at the end of this year.
Okay.
So we have some time on those, but there are some, the crucial ones is mental health that's coming due at the end of June.
But I wanted to get them in front of you guys so you
No,
all know
appreciate that, yeah.
they're coming up too, so we're not at the last minute in
Yeah.
November saying, oh, we got all these positions.
Well, especially if mental health is in June, that's in the next month, so, yeah.
Right. Confirm that, well, I know, Mr. Dvorak, we're up in the air on whether you will be here next Tuesday. You're tentatively not scheduled to be here next Tuesday.
Correct.
Will the rest of you be here on
Yeah.
Tuesday or not?
I'm gonna have to let you know, I'll let you know possibly this afternoon, but yeah, I know we would have to make a motion to.
Do you want to just move
it to Thursday.
Or are you going to be gone all
Are you
week?
both gonna be here on Thursday?
Yes.
You do Thursday
I'll
the
be here.
23rd?
I'll be here Tuesday.
Maybe by yourself.
You might be by
Yeah.
yourself, so
That
we
would
can't
be
do
just
a meeting,
fine.
so can we move it to
Get something
Thursday?
done. Yeah. Hey, Skip, what, didn't you look into, what's it called,
County executive.
county executive? Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I did.
Let's get her done.
So-
Put my name in for the mental health board.
Yeah.
So are you able on Thursday?
Did you do Thursday the 23rd? Are you available then
Yes.
to do Thursday? Okay.
Same time in the morning, or?
Yes, it's still, well, we would do 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then do I have a motion to move the 21st to Thursday, the 23rd?
Second.
Commissioner DeWorak?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Unless we could do Monday.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
The 20th?
Yeah.
Solid waste meeting.
Yeah.
You have a policy meeting that day?
Policy.
That was
What
gonna be
time's
my
that?
next question. It's in the morning.
Okay.
That's my next question. Originally, you had appointed Jim as your alternate, and then you changed that decision and appointed Mr. Claypool.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll be at that meeting.
You're gonna be at that
Yeah.
policy meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one I didn't get yet. I was looking to who was going.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, confirm for me who is able to attend, Wednesday, tomorrow at 10:30, the Hiram campus groundbreaking for Great Lakes Cheese.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna be there for that. right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She asked, and I just wanted to make sure that I can confirm it and let her know. And then on Friday morning is the ribbon cutting for the Blazonville's
Yeah.
grand opening.
Yeah.
I'll make that as well.
Okay. All right, then I will let them know that all three of you will be there at both of those. It's the end of my pile. Did you have anything else?
No, that was it. We had to get some things straightened out on times and things like that, so.
Yes, and Mr. Flays did not make it here, so, and you guys are gonna have to reconvene your planning commission meeting, so we'll get a hold of Mr. Flays and maybe you can get it done after your planning commission meeting.
Okay.
So,
And then, Jerry, are you going to Sunshine Law training today?
Yes. Yep.
At 1?
I'm Rouse, alternate for that. so.
Okay. Very good. With that, on Memorial Day will be closed.